All right. So you've gained that wisdom and it's changed your life, and it's powerful because there's other people in the same challenge that you've come through, right? So the wisdom you have is the fruit and you got to pass it on, right? So going back to your question is, how do we help people understand that they have a powerful story? How do we get people to step out and not be afraid to be on stage? It comes down to believing yourself, but it also comes down to understanding that you have this fruit that people need. There are starving people out there that need your wisdom. And if you can understand that, you'll have no problem getting on a stage, writing a book, speaking out loud wherever you want to, because you know you're helping people, right? I think I've mentioned this before. I don't know if you've heard it, but sometimes when, the whole elevator pitch, catching people's attention thing, people will ask me what I do. And so I used to be like, well, what do I do? There's so much. How do I explain what I do in such shortness? And they'll be like, what do you do? And I go, I'm the water boy. And they go, the water boy. They'll laugh and go, what? Because you think of the movie, The Water Boy. That's what they think about, right? And they go, what do you mean, the water boy? And I go, well, I've been through the fires of hell, and now I carry buckets of water for other people. And they always just look and go, whoa, what does that mean, right? And then I start to explain to them my story and why I help people share their story, because you have those same buckets of water. Everybody here, everybody at these events, everybody has a story, everybody has wisdom gained, and everybody has those buckets of water for other people. So why should you share your story? How do you become more confident in sharing your story? Knowing who you are, knowing that you have wisdom. That's not common knowledge. Common knowledge is if the light turns red, we stop. If the light turns green, we go. There's a ton of common knowledge, right? Wisdom is gained through life experience, good, bad, and ugly. So when you get to that point of understanding who you are and the power that you have this fruit and people need to eat it, when you have this wisdom and people need it, then guess what? Here's the next step, okay? That's the first. Know that you have it. Know that you have the power. Know that you have a story. Know that you have the fruit of the vine to feed other people. You have the buckets of water to put out their fire. And then what? When you believe in yourself and you know who you are, then you show up that way. Show up knowing who you are. Show up knowing how people see you. Because here's the other thing. We don't believe in ourselves, but people see us differently than we look at ourselves. So the people, we beat up ourselves so badly. We talk so negative to ourselves for so many years. For all these years, we've just received all this crap, and we talk to ourselves and we judge ourselves and we think bad things about ourselves all the time. Somebody said one time, they said, you know what? If somebody was talking to my friend the way I talk to myself, I would beat him up. He'd be like, I would beat him up. Be like, don't talk to my friend like that. But we do it to ourselves. It's like, it's okay, right? So show up also how people see you. When I first got into this industry, I forget, this many years ago, well, probably wasn't even when I was first, when I started like doing big live events and stuff, like people were inviting me as a keynote speaker and stuff like that. I think it was my first or second one. I got off the stage, I was clapping and the whole thing. And I went to the back, and the promoter of that event, he grabbed me like by my shoulders. He goes, dude, he goes, you don't know how good you are. And I remember just like looking at him, and I was like, what? He's like, you don't know. I can tell you don't know how good you are. And I was like, wow. And I just took that like, okay, I gotta, we have to show up as we're seen, right? Yeah. And even the other day, and I'm not bragging about myself, but you need to see this in you. Anybody who watches this, you need to see this in you, okay? I went back, and this is, you know what, Joseph, I'll give you this, because I've been watching like your podcast and all that, and the way you do it, it's so super cool and all that. Dude, people see you as a giant. I promise you that. They see you as a giant. They see you as like this amazing guy. We don't believe that about ourselves. So show up as you're seen, right? So I was watching one of my own videos the other day, and I was like, holy crap, that was really good. I was like, that was really good. I inspired myself, man. And sometimes I'll go back, because I've been doing videos for years and years, right? I've been doing it for a long time. I'll go back to my old YouTube video channel. I'll go back to my old ones I posted a long time ago. Or you know how on Facebook things will pop up 5 years ago and things like that. And I'll watch them and I'll go, I forgot that. That's wisdom. And I forgot that. I don't even use it now. And I was preaching it back then. So I have to remember, we all have to remember to show up as we're seen, because there are people who are following you that love you, that look up to you, that you're an inspiration to them, and you don't even know it. So when you're down on yourself and you don't believe in yourself, no, man, you got to stop. You got to change the way you think about yourself. You got to shift, and you got to go, I have the power. And you got to go, you got to know people see you and your wisdom as powerful. So show up that way. Show up with so much confidence not cockiness, so much confidence that people will take what you've given them, will take that fruit and they go, I'm going to use this because Joseph, that's amazing, right? That's good quality information. I'm going to use it in my life. So first was use fruit of the vine. You have fruit of the vine to give away. Next is show up as you're seen and believe who you are and that you have the power. You have the power. People need what you have and they love you. They love you. They see you. They want more from you. Show up that way. Show up knowing they need what you have. Show up knowing they need what you have in everything that you do. Okay. I'll give you a quick example. And it's pretty shocking, man. I almost started crying. I was at a family event, right? And, you know, you know my story in short, prison and, you know, all that kind of stuff. And when I left the area to get out of trouble, what's up, Albert? When I left the area to change my life, to get out of, you know, the lifestyle that I was living, I left my entire family, aunts, uncles, cousins, everything, because that was that lifestyle. And I was like, if I stay here, I'm gonna continue the life that I'm living. So I had to get away. I'll tell you what, after I got out of prison and then I moved away from San Jose, for almost 15 years, I rarely saw anybody in my family. Anybody. I rarely saw anybody. And it was because I had this, you know, I've learned over the years about psychological conditioning and all of these things and neural associations and all this. So I had this association to San Jose Bay Area where all my family was I can't go there. That was what's in my head. I can't go there. I got to get out of there, you know? So I didn't see a lot of my family for almost 15 years. But when I would see them, a funeral, you know, something like that, where all the family just comes together. And I was at I was at a funeral actually, and one of my cousins came up to me, who I love. We grew up little kids, obviously family, you know, the whole thing, but I hadn't seen him in probably 10, 15 years. And he looked at me and he goes, dude, I love what you do. I didn't even know he was following me. He never makes a comment, never likes, nothing. He goes, I love what you do. And I go, oh, thanks, man. He goes, you wrote, and this is when I wrote my first book. This was a while back. I'm launching my 8th book coming up. But he goes, I love what you do. He goes, you wrote a book? And I said, yeah. He's, oh man, congratulations. He was like, you know, happy for me, which is great because sometimes our families are not. And he goes, let me tell you something, man. He goes, I take what you teach in your videos to my job and I talk to my employees about it. He goes, I take it and I repeat it. So keep doing your talks. And I was just like, wow, dude. I go, I didn't even know that you listen. You never say a comment. You never like it, nothing. I go, I didn't even know you were listening to what I have to say. So people are paying attention. People are listening, people are watching, and they love you. Right before you got on, Albert, I don't know if you're watching on the Facebook group, but we're talking about like, how do we get people to have confidence in themselves and get out there and just do it, right? And I did a little bit of the fruit of the vine, right? Is your wisdom, right? It's not for you. The fruit is not for the vine, it's for people. And then we talked about show up as you're seen, right? And right now, Albert, you're out there, man. You're out there. Check this out, dude. I was at, do you know who Brian Navabi is? Okay. Brian Navabi doesn't even know, or you don't even know him. He doesn't even know you, right? So I was at he's a young guy, multimillionaire, has a clothing brand, Ferraris and Lamborghinis and the whole thing. So I was over at his office hanging out and I was telling him about my event, right? I go, hey man, check out my event. It's coming up. I showed him the landing page. He went through it and he saw it. He goes, you know Albert? And I said, yeah, you know Albert? He goes, no, but I saw he just did a book signing or something, right? And I said, yeah, man. He goes, he did. I go, he works, he's part of our team. He helped us. We help him, he helps us, and we work together. He's like, that's cool, man. Yeah, I saw his book launch. You don't even know him. He doesn't even know you. Somehow, somewhere, he saw your book launch that you did, right? So we're out there. We're being seen, and people want to see us. Okay, now here's where I went back to show up as you've been seen. Okay, he has no idea who you are, right? But he knows you wrote a book. He knows you're speaking. He knows that you did this book launch. In his eyes, wow, that guy's an author. Man, he's a speaker. Cool. Show up as you're seen. We don't know. You don't know who's watching you. People are watching you. Keep doing what you're doing. Show up as you're seen. Okay. Don't show up. And I'm talking to myself too, guys. Sometimes I'm down, right? We all get down sometimes, man. You know, different things happen in our lives and relationships and work or whatever it is. And sometimes we get down and my energy's low. But you got to know that you're saving people's lives. You're literally changing people's lives with you unmute yourself, dude. This is for you guys. This is for everybody.
Yeah, bro. So real quick. So Joseph, you got to check this out, dude. So I put it in the comments. This is why it's so important. I love what you're doing with your format, by the way. Raul came into my life a year ago, and just through synergy, and I believe just where we're at vibrational, I've known the mayor for years, but don't know her. I ran into her in April, then I ran into her in May. I literally went to this restaurant that I go every Friday, saw her. She goes, Albert, come here. I barely know her. Like, I barely know her. We sat down with her and her girlfriend. I go, no, I'll let you do her thing. She goes, can I tell you something? Bro, this is the mayor of Folsom. She's 5 years older than me. She goes, I love what you're doing. I've been following you for 8 years.
Wow.
I go, I got the chills. I go, what? She goes, yeah, I just don't comment. Like, I follow you. And I go, tell me something about me.
I'm testing you.
She goes, what happened with you and your girlfriend? And I go, what? She goes, you guys are a beautiful couple and you're traveling to Greece. And she goes, you traveled to Greece in May of 2018. I go, how did you know that? My point though, is that she went down the rabbit hole of like, so tell me what happened. I go, you want to know? I shared a story with her. And I looked at her and she goes, Albert, keep doing what you're doing. People are watching, especially women like me, because I know what you represent and how you look and who you are, but I know you're a different man. Keep sharing the story because you're going to impact somebody that you don't even know you even impacted me. Bro, this is the mayor. Guess what? She showed up. She was at my book signing and she met my mom and sat with my mom for 10 minutes asking her advice because she ever read the book. She's in chapter 1. My mom's in chapter 1. The mayor sat with my mom and asked her questions because she's a mom. That's why this is powerful. You don't know where I have no idea where my story was going. But I'm sharing that because even the audience, like, I don't know where the hell this is going, but it's where I'm headed. And Raul and Brandon and everybody involved in this is part of my journey. And now I get to give back.
Amen. Amen. So check this out. That's a great testament, Albert, because a lot of people like, I run into a lot of people and they go, oh, I don't pay to speak. And or they say all these different things, even though I'm not charging people to speak, I charge them for their marketing and the videos and all that. Right. But they say I don't pay to speak and they just have all these excuses why they're not getting paid to speak or all these things are going on. And I took a course, man. I did this course. I did that course and nobody will pay me to speak. And I go, because nobody knows who you are. Nobody knows who you are. You don't have videos of your talks. You're not out there doing things, right? So this is what you just said, Albert, is how you get paid speaking gigs. People are watching you. People are going to start calling you. Continue what you're doing. Never stop. I mean, Joseph, you know this. You're doing all your podcasts and your social media, all that. People are watching. And at some point, they're going to go, oh, what? You need a speaker on men stuff? Oh, yeah. You know what? You got to talk to my guy, Albert. And they're going to send your number. They're going to call you and go, hey, man, you want to come and speak at this event? We're doing this men's thing. Sure. My rate is this. Okay, boom. And they'll pay you. Right. So the way to get speaking gigs, obviously, is to practice, but it's to get out there, get your videos out there, get your social media out there, get your pictures out there, signing books, all of these things. And then people will start to see you. Right. I think I mentioned this often. A lot of times I'll get on Zoom calls, like potential customer calls. And I'll say, tell me how much you know about me or my company so I know where to start. Because some people do a lot of research, right? So I know where to start. And so many people say, oh, I Googled you. I Googled your company. And if I hadn't seen what I'd seen, I wouldn't even be on this call right now. So be seen, right? Get yourself out there. Post pictures on all the social media programs. I say this all the time. I was talking to somebody the other day. I don't know if it was on this call or not, but I was telling post on Twitter. I don't like Twitter. I don't care. Post on Twitter. You don't even have to have one follower. You don't have to have any followers. Twitter is free SEO. LinkedIn is free SEO. And as those companies, as those apps start showing you into Google and all that, when people Google you, you're going to pop up. And it's going to be from Twitter. It's going to be from LinkedIn. It's going to be from Instagram. It's going to be from your websites. And I told you guys already, I think I showed it at the event or maybe on one of these calls, name your pictures. Put your name on your pictures before you post them. Put what you do on your pictures before you post them. That's how you get found. That's how Google finds it, right? Because, if you just take a picture on your phone and you post it, it's like a number, right? It goes nowhere. Google's not going to find that. But if people are Googling a coach or a live speaker or a men's group or whatever it is, or Albert, boom, then all of a sudden you pop up, right? I bet you there's a ton of pictures of me out there that I did before I knew that. And they never come up. They're nowhere just because the numbers are like 10 million, a whole bunch of little numbers in there. So show up as you're seen. That's where we were at when you got into that story, right? Realize that people are watching you. Realize there are mayors. There are people at all levels watching you and are cheering for you, is a good thing, right? We got some haters too, but that's okay. That's how you know, if you got hate, if you don't have haters, what do they say? Then you ain't doing something. You're not doing something right, right? So show up as people see you. And the way to show up as people see you is to know, whether you've been told or not, that people are watching you, they respect you, and they want more from you. So every time you show up, I don't care if you're on stage in a conversation, at a networking thing, on a Zoom, whatever you're doing. I don't care if they're like right now, what this is different because it's our group. So there's only a couple people on here, but I don't care if you do your own Zoom and 2 people show up. You are confident in who you are and what you do because they showed up to listen to what you have to say. Right. I remember before when I first started doing Zooms and, you know, we'd get, you know, 1 or 2 people on there. I'd be like, oh, there's only 2 people on here. I don't want to do this whole thing. Baloney. I don't care if you got 1 person on there, man, you do your thing because you might change that 1 person's life. Right. And if you change 1 person's life, they're going to change somebody's life and so on and so forth. Right. You know, it's a common saying, like, I just want to change 1 person's life. That's great. But you know what? I want to change 1 million people's lives. Right. I want 20,000 people at our event when we finally get to Vegas. I want freaking to change people's life globally. How do I do that? I got to be confident in me. I got to be not scared to show up. I got to know that I have fruit for the people, for the masses, and I got to show up as people see me. And I got to show up how I see myself in my head. So guess what does that mean? You got to believe in you. You got to know who you are. You got to get rid of the negative thinking. You got to know you're amazing. You're awesome and amazing. You're awesome and amazing. I think I told you guys a story before from when my son was born and I started waking him up. Every morning I'd say, you're awesome and amazing. You're loving, you're kind. I just speak these words into him. And it's so cool because I think he was like, I mean, he's 16 now, but I think he was like 6 years old, maybe 7. And, you know, we used to live and he used to have a whole bunch of little buddies where we lived. It was a big family neighborhood. There was like 1 million kids in our neighborhood. And they would come knock on the door and they'd have their swords and they'd all, let's go, right? They'd all go run out and play and just have fun. And I remember I was sitting on the couch one time and he got his sword and his whatever, you know, shields and all that kind of stuff. He's running outside to play. And he's getting to the door and he grabs the doorknob. And I said, son, be careful, be good. He turns around, he looks at me, he goes, don't worry, Dad, I'm awesome and amazing. And then he took off out the door. And I was like, oh man, I didn't even know he was listening. You know what I mean? Like he hears me every morning and that's what's in his head. He's awesome and amazing, right? I still tell him that to this day. I think you guys know I've been divorced, separated from my wife over almost 2 years now. But I call him, man, and I leave him messages and or I text him first thing in the morning. I go, you're awesome and amazing. I love you. Have a wonderful day. It's planted in him, right? I want him to think that for the rest of his life. But guess what else happens to that? Guess what else happens to that? I bet you guys can guess. What does it say in the Bible, right? Give and you shall receive. That's also psychological. Our brain, there's a section of our brain that doesn't know, even when we're speaking, if we're saying to somebody else, if we're receiving it. Did you know that? That's why they say, don't be negative. Don't cuss people out. Don't think negative things. There's a part of our brain that has no idea where it's coming from. It's just receiving it, even though we're speaking it. So when you're speaking good to somebody else, you're speaking love to somebody else, you're receiving that too. So like I just said it a second ago without even thinking about it, that I'm awesome and amazing. You know why? Because I say that to my son every day. So guess what? I'm awesome and amazing too. So make sure you speak life into you. Know who you are. Know that you're here for a reason, man. I mean, I look at these statistics sometimes of what it actually takes to be born. I mean, I forget the 1 in 100 million or something crazy like that, right? And I was watching something. I know I watch like this nerd stuff, but I was watching this thing the other day about like the egg and how it gets to the sperm gets to the egg and the whole that. Can I say that on this video? how it gets into the egg, right? And it was saying it's not just the one that gets there first. And that's what everybody's thinking, like, oh, whoever gets there first, you get into the egg and boom, you're born, right? It's not the one that gets there first. The egg rejects a whole bunch of that are trying to get in there. And it receives one, the energy that it wants, that it receives it. It allows it to penetrate. So you are allowed to be born from an egg. You're here for a reason, right? Society molds us and breaks us down. And I always tell people, remember who you were before society told you who to be. Remember who you were before society told you to be, right? I got screwed up at a very young age. And I let society and psychological conditioning and all these things I didn't know control my life. You know me, I had this alter ego. That alter ego was a menace to society, legally titled a menace to society, you know? And I went through all that stuff. So then what? I started to seek and learn and grow and understand these things from all the way back to the egg, right? And I studied this stuff because it's so crazy how our lives are chosen. And the society breaks us down. The news, the TV, I don't watch any of that stuff. I pick what I want to watch and what I want to listen to. With that, pay attention to what you eat, pay attention to what you feed your brain, pay attention to what you think, pay attention to how you feel, and shift it. Right? This is all part of believing in yourself, because we're talking about speaking, right? But it's believing in yourself is what's going to get you out there to speak. Here's another concept that you need to, that I want everybody to understand. I hope I'm going to post this video somewhere else too. I want everybody to understand this. When I was affected, when we're affected by something that happened to us, we're creating that. We're allowing it and we're creating it. Okay. Think about this. Yesterday, 2 days ago, a year ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, does not exist. Literally does not exist. It's gone. So the only way it can affect us is if we allow it to, if we think about it and we bring the emotion that happened then, right? Now, if it's a happy, fun thing, sure, keep it. But if it's something that's going to bring you down, take you into depression, take you into anxiety, it doesn't exist anymore. You're being affected by something that doesn't exist. Think about that. And when things come to your mind, go, that doesn't even exist. It happened a long time ago. It's not real. It's gone. Right? Do you understand that? I can see it. When I think about that, I can see it. I look like this way looking back, and I can see it. I go, there's nothing there. There's nothing there. It doesn't exist unless I create it in my head. Okay? Know who you are. Know that you're special. You were chosen from the egg, and that you have a life here. And we get conditioned from society, from birth, depending on who we live with, who we grow up with, the schools we go to, the kids around us, the people around us. We get conditioned by that. Choose your thoughts. Know who you are. Take your wisdom and share it. That's the key. When you have all of that, you're changing people's lives. Okay. One more thing. Then I'll let somebody ask a question. I get hyped on this stuff, man. I love this stuff. I have it written down right here. Make sure you're around people. And this is our group. This is our group. This is our events. That's why people love them so much. Be around people who believe in you and say that you can. Be around people who believe in you and say that you can. Right? I did a video on this earlier today. How many people have you talked to in your business career, in whatever you're doing? This happens to me all the time. I'll be talking to them, they're excited. I want to do this, and I want to be a speaker, and I want to be a coach, and I have this program, and I have all these things. And we talk to them, and go, okay, here, we can do this for you, we can do that for you, and this and that. And they go, I got to ask my wife, or I got to ask my husband, or I got to ask this person, or I got to ask that person. They got to go ask, right? And I always think, like, if what you're doing right now is going to help people, and you have this passion to help people and change their lives, why do you have to ask? Like, you know, like, why do you have to ask? And I understand between married couples and stuff like that, if it's a financial investment, I don't think it should be an ask. I think it should be a conversation. And if you found the right person doing what you do, and you want them to help you, and your spouse, man, woman, whatever, says no, you got to think about that. Right? That's their own limiting beliefs. You guys already know this. This might be common knowledge. If it's not, then whoever's watching this, understand this. People tell you no or put you down because they don't think they can do it. So they tell you you can't do it. It's their own limiting beliefs that they put on us. Right? I mean, I remember, and looking back at my life and all the stuff that I've learned, I did that. I remember doing that to my kids. I remember my mother doing that to me. It was not their fault. It wasn't my fault. It's a limiting belief. And I'll tell you what, the main one that I know, and I think back, I go, that was jacked up. But when my son, I'm not a tall guy, you know that. My sons are taller than me. But my son, when he was, I don't know, 5th grade or something, he wanted to go to a basketball camp. And the first thing I thought is, dude, we're short. Like, you're not going to be able to play basketball. Right? And he's like, I want to go to basketball camp, Dad. And I was like, okay, let's go check it out. But I wasn't enthusiastic about it at all. I mean, and he felt that energy. I was just like, are you sure? Like, basketball? Are you sure? Like, you know, like, I didn't say we're short. I didn't insult him or anything. But in my mind, I was like, you're never going to do anything with basketball. We're not tall people. Limiting belief, right? That's a huge limiting belief that I put onto my son. So when people are telling you no, when people are holding you back, when people are saying, nah, that's not going to work. And that's a lot. We get that a lot. That's not going to work. Oh, that's too far out there. That's their own limiting beliefs. I think you may have seen this, Albert, a while back. I posted a car that I want to buy next year. I posted a picture of a beautiful Bentley, right? I've done this before too. I posted one a couple of years ago, but it was a different car. And I said, I'm thinking about buying this car. Both times it was a woman, and I'm not saying anything bad about women, but both times it was a woman, and they said something very negative. Oh, you're thinking too big. You could never get that car. Like, oh, you shouldn't think like that. Like, who do you think you are? I know I see that in yours. That was one of them. That's a beautiful car. But people will say stuff like that. It's their own limiting beliefs. People I don't even know said that. Like, oh, I don't know why you think like that. Why would you even want that car? There are people starving and this and that. And, it's like, if you get a car like that, a dream car like that, then you can afford it. I hope you're buying it because you can afford it. And if you're loving, serving, and giving, and God blesses you to be able to afford something like that, I'm sure you're already loving, giving, and blessing. So just because my passion for people or donations or whatever it is are not the same as yours, it doesn't mean I'm not doing it, right? Do you ever have people like ask you for a donation? You go, oh no, that's okay. And you're like, well, don't you want to help people? I always go like, I help tons of people. I just not going to help you. Like, I mean, just because I'm not giving you $1, it doesn't mean I don't give it to other people. You know what I mean? Sorry. Like, it's really weird how people think that. I don't know if it's trying to guilt trip or whatever. Anyways, going back, be around people who believe in you and say that you can. Okay. Even if in their mind, they go, that's not going to work, but they go, do it. Joseph, do it. Albert, go do it, man. Do it. Right. That's the people you want to be around. Yes, you can. I believe in you. Yes, you can. I believe in you. So how do we get ourselves out there on stages? How do we get ourselves to stop fearing the stage, writing books? Understand who you are. Understand your wisdom is a fruit of the vine and people need it. Show up as people see you. Albert gave a great example, right, of how people see us and we don't even know. No, people see you and look up to you and show up that way. Don't show up with your head down, And last, be around people who are going to support you. So all of that is self-development. All of that is mindset. All of that will help you in your speaking, coaching, and authoring careers. All right? All right, man. That's my speech. Now for questions.
That was my question.
All of that was your question? Yeah,
All the
that was.
questions.
That whole thing was around your question. That's for sure. That was good.
No, it's good.
So I have a context.
Yeah, what?
What was the question? So I have context. What was the
Oh,
question?
he asked, well, go ahead. Tell him,
So
Joseph.
basically, I was like, I just said, let's bring value to this conversation. What would you say to someone who it's their first time to go out there and speak and they just don't know what to do first, how to even approach a stage or something like that, to go out there and say the first talk?
So what did you summarize that Raul said in a sentence or two so it's easy for everybody to comprehend the answer?
So in summary, I would summarize it that the first thing is believe in yourself, know that you have what other needs. And if you need help, surround yourself with people who will pour into you and be your backup. Those I summarize them all in that, but you put so much more.
That's awesome. No, and you did. You summarized it. And here's why I go in so depth, because it's easy to say, you just got to believe in yourself, man. People say that all the time. You just got to believe in yourself. Like, well, how? What does that mean? Like, what do you mean? Okay, I believe. Like, but that doesn't change the mindset, right? That's why, even with everybody that I work with, I talk to them about wisdom points, right? So I can say, believe in yourself, and then get into the whole thing of through the vine, show up as you are, be around people. So those are the wisdom points of the base of believe in yourself. It's easy to say stuff like that. There's a lot of them. It's easy, just, believe in yourself. There's a lot of terms like that, but you go, but how? Like, what do you need to do? Well, here, I went into the egg. I went into psychology. I went into all of these things. There's so much around quick, regular answers that people don't teach, right? That's why, unfortunately, there's a lot of events that I've been to throughout my life, and they get you all hyped up and motivated, and because they tell you, believe in yourself and do this and do that, but they don't really tell you how to do it. Like, they don't give you the wisdom and the understanding, because what I like to do is give all those wisdom points, and then people can go research it. A lot of the stuff that I just told you guys, you can go research, right? You can go research about the egg, you can go research about psychology, you can go research about, people and get ideas for, Albert gave a great example of, like, the mayor has been watching for 8 years. He had no idea, right? So we got to be careful, because people are watching us, the good, bad, and the ugly, and when we are seen as an authority per se, as somebody that's respected, we also got to be, what's the word for it? We got to be responsible for that, right? I mean, it would be like, sometimes it's a horrible thing, but you'll see a pastor of a mega church, and then you find out that he was cheating on his wife, and it's like, what? Like, well, how does that happen? You know what I mean? So we have to be the person that we representing also. Right? We can't be fake. There's too many fake authors, speakers, coaches out there. There really is, man. I mean, I've gotten in conversations, I've been in this industry for a while. I've talked with a lot of celebrity speakers per se, and there's some that do really well and they're famous, and I've gotten into conversation with them, and man, they're not good people. It's sad, but they're not good people, you know. I've seen them cuss and swear, and like, I mean, not that I don't cuss every once in a while, but I mean like in anger, you know what I mean? Like, ooh, and all this kind of stuff. It's like, man, that's not who you represent yourself to be. We're human. We all have breakdowns and we have challenges once in a while. I'm not putting people down, but be who you represent yourself to be, and then show up how people see you, right? And if you practice that, then you'll become that person. You'll actually become the person that you're practicing to be. I had to practice not being an ex-convict. I had to practice not living in the subculture of the prison, jail, street, gang mind that I was in for, 15 years or so. Literally practice. I don't know if I said this from stage or not, but I remember practicing saying hi to people. That's where I started. Like, instead of just going like this, all these weird looks and stuff that I had, I would practice saying hi. Hi, how are you? Hi, how you doing? Hey, one of the other things I practiced, I don't know if I talked about this or not yet, but I would practice things that people would say to me or do around me that made me feel good. Right. So the example I give, and I can remember, I can see it, right? Remember, Joseph, I was telling you before you got on, Albert, that a memory is an experience connected to an emotion, good or bad. Everything, a memory is an experience connected to emotion. Anything else in between, you don't remember, right? If I said what you're doing 10 days ago, unless it was something good or bad, you won't even remember. Like, I don't know what I was doing, right? So those connections. So this story I'm telling you made me feel good, and that's the only reason I remember it. A buddy of mine, this was back in the late 90s. I was already out of the life, right? I was coming out, I got out of prison, I was in college, and I was trying to shift my life around the whole thing. I still had friends that were still into that lifestyle, but this guy, he got a 65 Impala, and it was like the cliche. He got a 65 Impala from an old lady, and it had like 50,000 miles on it. I mean, it was stock, beautiful car, white with red interior, super sport, right? And I used to have a 66 when I was growing up. So I love those cars. And I remember I was on one side of the car, the windows were down, and I was in the window just looking at it. I was like, man, this is beautiful. And he was on the other side and he was looking at me. When I said, man, this is a beautiful car, he looked at me and he said, thank you. I appreciate that. And I remember feeling good because he said he appreciated me, right? And the life that I was living, people don't talk like that. People don't tell you good things about yourself. You know what I mean? And it was just like, wow, he said he appreciated me. And it felt really good. And that's the only reason I remember it today. But after that, I started practicing that. Hey, thank you. I appreciate that. Hey, thank you. I appreciate that. So I started practicing being a different person. And now, honestly, if I say that, it's just because it's who I am. Like, I do appreciate that. I appreciate you. Thank you. That type of thing. Another time, very young, and I was working in this warehouse, and I had this, it was a small mom and pop type shop, and a couple owned it. And I was sitting there and I was talking to him. And at the time, I was super young, and, the guy, he had a Rolex and, fancy cars, and, kind of like where I'm at today. But I mean, so I looked up to him like, oh man, this guy, he's doing good and all this kind of stuff. I was just out of prison, like I was saying, so I was a whole nother type of person. But he was sitting there looking at me across the desk, and I'm giving him my ideas about the warehouse and this and that. And he looked at me, he goes, I agree. I think we should do that. And it made me feel really good that he just agreed with me, right? I'm trying to like tell him, what I think we should do. And he goes, I agree, let's do that. And it made me feel really good, right? I hadn't experienced any of that good stuff in my life up to those years. So when people would talk to me, I would say, I agree. And I could see in their face, like, oh, you agree with me? That's cool, right? Just for somebody to agree with what you're saying is a compliment, and it makes them feel good. Back to it. I practiced being a new person. I practiced doing to other people what made me feel good. And then now I'm just that person, right? So when it comes down to it, and all these things that we're talking about, showing up, how people see you is not only just being strong and in your power, but if they see you as a good guy, they see you as a coach, they see you as somebody who's helping people, then you need to make sure you are that person. Okay. And if you're working towards it, it's okay. Whoever's watching this, if you're not that person yet, practice. That's all you have to do. Because what did you write in? I think you wrote something about that was part of this. Their projections on you is, yeah. Okay. Yeah. That was something else. But how we get to a new level in anything is practice, right? How'd you learn to walk? You had to practice. How'd you learn to talk? You had to practice. How'd you learn to write? You had to practice, right? We become new people, right? So it's difficult. And I'd say this, a paradigm. You guys know what a paradigm is. I see it as a circle, that's why. But a paradigm, the worst thing about a paradigm is people don't know they're in them. right? So you can't change if you don't know that you're within a paradigm. So if the paradigm is a circle and you're living like this, you're just in here living, conditioned on whatever area of your life that you were born in and raised in, and society has taught you this, and you're just in this paradigm, and you think that's just how life is. Once you're able to break that open and fly out of there, your whole life will change. The way to do that is to start practicing being a new person, right? Practicing loving, caring, being kind. Change who you are. Change who you are by practicing, and you will become that person. Like I said a minute ago, when I say appreciate you, I'm not saying it because I'm practicing it anymore. It's who I am, right? I do appreciate. I understand how to appreciate people now. I'm grateful for people, right? You guys are in our programs. You guys come to our events. You're going to come and MC. Albert's going to come and speak. I appreciate you guys. We're changing people's lives, right? That's my goal. That's my God-given goal. Let's change people's lives. That's it. And we're all doing it. So,
So on that note, like what I really love what you're saying is practice. It's this concept that I've come up with also is like be this term avatar, right? Be your own avatar. But more importantly, how do actors play roles? Like Tom Hanks, for example, played in Castaway. He had to become that role.
yeah.
He didn't come overnight. He had to be that, right? Embodiment is what we use now. And so what I've, when people ask me like, so how did you stop drinking alcohol, right? What was it about alcohol? What I tell people is that it didn't happen overnight, is I had to create this new person that I wanted to be. Like, who is this Albert that he wanted to be? How does he act? Who's this actor I wanted to be?
Yeah.
And then what you do is you take away everything that actor doesn't do, right?
Mm-hmm.
So is Albert 240 pounds? No,
Yeah.
he's 195.
Yeah.
Does Albert have facial hair? Yeah, he's got a beard. Does Albert lie? No, Albert doesn't lie anymore, right? So what I had to learn how to do is take away all, basically chisel, like pretend like we're big thing at play. I had to chisel myself to become that person. But when you chisel, that's where the suffering and the pain comes from, because you actually literally have to break down this old person to become this new person. But as you chisel more and more and more, it becomes easier, and all you do is maintain now. You don't have to recreate because you're become this person. That is the key, is to become the person you want to become.
Dude, that's powerful. That's an excellent example, man. It really is. And one key to that is that you were self-aware, right? We have to be self-aware. That's what I was talking about. We're in the paradigm. We don't even know. We don't even know it. But at some point you broke open and you're like, hold on. You're looking back down into the paradigm. You're going, no, I don't want to be that guy. And I can change it, right? With all the examples you just gave. I am not going to do this. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to start doing this. And you created a whole new paradigm. And it's a good one. It's changing your life, and it's helping other people change their lives. So self-awareness is the key. Oh, can't hear you. Your sound went out, buddy.
So people have asked me the key, like, so what's the key? So if you're an addict, but if anybody's addict in here, they're the best ones. Because if they go so far into the addiction, that all we do is we pivot that attention to something else.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're the best ones because they already know how to commit 1000% to something.
Yeah.
We just got to pivot them. So your viewers on here, those that were addicts or those that maybe have this fear of speaking, is that they take that energy of what you were really bad at and turn it into this.
Yeah. Absolutely. Delete it. Right? Delete it. Those examples go all into what we've been talking about this whole time, in regard to it doesn't even exist anymore. Right. And I was talking with somebody about addictions the other day, and there's lots of addictions besides like alcohol and drugs. Right. You guys know the concept of like when we think happy thoughts, there's hormones that kick in. When we think sad thoughts, there's hormones that kick and they go through our body and make us feel a certain way. Right. Everything comes from our brain. These hormones and stuff kick in. And without even understanding it, we get addicted to those hormones, right? So if like for me, for example, I was talking about chaos and things like that. I was addicted to only being able to have a breakthrough or grow in my life when something bad happened. So when things were going good and I was addicted to these hormones that I had no idea were even kicking, I would feel weird because things were going good. Those hormones would kick in. I'd self-sabotage, ruin what was happening. And then I'd have to fix it and then I'd feel better again. But I kept self-sabotaging and in that pattern over and over and over again. So you have to recognize it. And as soon as that hormone starts to kick, this is what I do. As soon as that hormone starts to kick in, I go, nope, I'm not going to think that. I'm not going to feel that way. I go, I am not going to feel that. Just like what you just said, Albert, I am not going to do that. I am not going to feel that way. I'm going to change the way I'm thinking and I'm going to trigger a new hormone. For me, what I do, I practice, I think about my kids because I love my kids so much. I cannot help but smile and kick in the good endorphins and things when I'm happy, thinking about my kids and how much I love them. So there's a tool there. We kind of got off the subject of speaking, but it's a great talk. It's a great talk. And all of this counts towards believing in yourself, changing who you are to get out there and reach your goals. Get out there and be the coach. Believe in yourself that you can. Write your book. Believe in yourself that you can. Get on those stages and share your message. Believe that you can. You are the fruit of the vine. Show up as people see you and be around people who say, yes, you can, and that they believe in you. All right. If any other examples, then I'm going to close with that. We good?
This was good, man. I appreciated that.
All right,
And,
guys. Well, I'll see you both on the 16th and 17th at the Tag Talks Live, October 16th. All right, guys. Look forward to it.
Albert, I'll reach back out to you because I haven't forgot about your message.
All right, buddy.
Peace out.
Bye.